The director sort of saw this play, costume-wise, as having 3 movements. So the actors start out as themselves, kind of as children, so she wanted them essentially like in their underwear, barefoot, and kind of innocent, and they have this shipwreck. So we did this whole scene of the entire cast in their underwear, but we used kind of vintage underwear because it had sort of a more innocent feeling to it and not like sexy or modern day college student. I had an assistant designer, June, for that, and I thought she did a really great job with that. It was all kind of neutrals and everything. Then the second movement, they needed to add on black and gray clothing because they were in mourning. The director wanted things that they were uncomfortable having to put on and things that didn't fit very well. We kept using the word discordant and dissonant. So we chose clothing that didn't, button or buckle correctly. And luckily, we also wanted it to look kind of modern and fashion forward. And the most fashion forward people right now are the South Koreans. They are doing amazing work. In fact, it kind of goes with the K-pop music. The fashions are so super cool. So we actually used that as our departure point. So everything was kind of put together, a lot of asymmetry, a lot of things that stick out kind of weird. And then she had a third movement that she wanted to show of them, we call it Beach Wedding, where they had actually sort of started to relate to each other and were happy, and it's about a shipwreck and it takes place on an island, so the sea colors were important. These swatch charts here show some of the procedures. Like up there, it's all the grays and blacks, and then it shows the sea colors as they start to come in. And then here is at the end, we tried to get rid of as much black as we could by the end so that the grays were lighter and went with the beach colors. However, there were 3 pivotal characters that she wanted to leave black, so I left a little bit of black on the swatching, and I chose this background because the set is wooden, and I thought that really showed off how the colors would look. So as you're going along in the play, and as they start to feel more hopeful about their future and sort of more in control of the roles that have been thrust upon them that they weren't comfortable with at first, and with each other, they start to kind of undo their clothing and the crazy, we've got all this asymmetrical closure and all these really outsized closures. We used the biggest zippers you can buy with the biggest pulls. We actually made out of wood a bunch of large, oddly shaped buttons. We've got big buckles on things, and we've just tried to make everything a little discordant in that way. And as they become more comfortable, they sort of get themselves out of slowly those things, and they start wearing the beach colors, and by the end of it, it's like a barbecue on the beach. Everybody's in their tank tops and the sea colors, and they're dancing around, and it's all good. So it was really 3 distinctive movements. Here are some of the sea items, so you can see that we used a lot of gauzes, and we used things that look like ship rope. That's the original colors, and those are the sea colors that I dyed it to. We have a wacky character, Malvolio. I call him Malvo Loco, and his whole costume was pleather. When he goes crazy, was pleather with big zippers that we painted yellow. You can see some of the large buttons and the large zippers and the cording that we used looked like it was part of a ship. This is kind of the entire show. Some of the things we bought and dyed and modified, and other things we actually built. The larger ones on this page were all built by students in our department. There's a few pieces that we modified, but mostly this was all built from scratch. And then these are pieces that we purchased and modified. In some cases I've included where I ordered the pieces from, so you can see them in their original state and some of the things that we did to them. And every day, we go to dress rehearsal and we take notes, and at first the notes are like pages and pages long, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're never gonna get through this by tonight. But you stick with it and you get it done, and this was the final dress rehearsal set of notes. We were really close, and it just sort of shows how throughout the day we say, oh, this person's doing that and that job's in progress, and then we mark it off when we're done. And then Jenny wrote, done, 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 finished on there. And the day I was setting up this display, I almost was about to throw it away, and I thought, you know what? I think the general public would enjoy seeing that it really is a process. So I have left our last note sheet sitting here for people to see, because I think it's kind of funny, but I also think it's really telling that it is really a process that we work on until we get it right, and the audience gets to see it as a finished product. So that is 12th night in a nutshell.